Where do Manchester City go from here? That is the question we will be attempting to answer in today's video, because it looks like Ederson is heading for the exit door. Now, is that the right decision? Who does City replace him with? And what legacy will the Brazilian leave? Welcome back to the City Ramble, leading the conversation in the world of Manchester City. We're aiming for 5k subscribers before the start of the Premier League season. So if you can help us out there, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Also get involved in the City Ramble Discord, link in the description. What do we know so far about Ederson's exit? Well, the talk is coming out of Turkey and it's loud. There's plenty of noise that Galatasaray are interested in Ederson, that personal terms have been agreed. We also had a report from L'Equipe, a French outlet, that Galatasaray have submitted a €3 million bid. Now, I think a lot of people, when they saw that, their eyebrows were raised, and mine included to begin with. You're like, €3 million? What? Come on, he's still an incredibly good goalkeeper. He's worth a lot more than that. But what I will say on that is, I think City won't accept that €3 million bid. Look, if they do, fine, whatever. But I think anybody expecting north of €10 million, £15 million, you're going to be left disappointed, because he's got 1 year left in his deal. By all accounts, it looks like he's looking to leave. He's happy to leave. I don't know if City have had contract negotiations. I don't know where that is there, but it looks like his head is now elsewhere. City, there's no point in City holding out for sort of a big fee, especially as we'll get onto somebody like James Trafford. If he's willing to join, you want this deal to go seamlessly. You want it to be done as quick as possible, because it looks like one player wants to leave. James Trafford, maybe he wants to come to the club. That's not going to be a bit of a difficult deal to do with Burnley. It is what it is. But I think in terms of the fee, City will probably, accept something around the mark of £10 million. That's just the feeling. That's just what I'm sort of gauging from the situation. But like I said, it looks like they want to leave. It looks like Ederson wants to have a new challenge. And I mean, fair enough. We're talking about legacy. For me, I'm going to say it straight off the bat. I think he's Manchester City's greatest ever goalkeeper. And I know that is a controversial opinion for some. Some people will be like, what on earth are you talking about? No, he's not. There's been better. Joe Hart. I've seen shouts of Bert Troutman. Look, incredible. How many people were around to watch Bert Troutman? I don't know. But I'm not diminishing his achievements for Manchester City. The point I'm saying is that Ederson has been City's number one in their strongest ever period. All of the titles, 6 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, 1 treble, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups. We are never going to see a run like that for Manchester City again. I'm sorry, but we're never going to see a run for City where they win this amount of trophies ever again. And Ederson, for the most part, almost all of it, in fact, was the number one goalkeeper. So, yeah, I mean, for me, he's the best ever. I hope he's remembered well, and I think he will be remembered well, because he has transformed, in my opinion, goalkeeping in the Premier League. You can speak about Ederson and you can say, yes, he's a better shot stopper, but the Premier League's had incredible shot stoppers in the past. There has not been a shortage of great shot stoppers, and some might say that's the role of a goalkeeper. That's what the goalkeeper's there to do. But when you look at how City have been able to play with Ederson in their team, it is like, it's a cliche, but it has been like having an extra outfield player. That is what Guardiola wants. You go back to Victor Valdez at Barcelona, Manuel Neuer at Bayern Munich. He tried it with Claudio Bravo in his first season, and it was very clear that it wasn't working. Ederson comes in, and I don't think people remember just how big the pressure was on Ederson's shoulders when he arrived at City in 2017. It was around £36 million, which at the time was a big number, a big fee for a goalkeeper. Obviously, since then we've seen the likes of Kepa go for 80 odd million. I think Alisson was around 60. Might have 1 or 2 of the fees sort of not entirely accurate there, but you get the point I'm saying. At the time, it was a big fee for a goalkeeper, and he came in under a lot of pressure. He performed. He was great in that Centurion season, obviously then continued it throughout his City career. Yes, there have been errors. Yes, there have been soft goals conceded, but you take that rough with the smooth. I think Ederson's shot-stopping ability has been wildly underrated, in the sense that I don't think he's necessarily up there with Courtois, Donnarumma, Alisson, etc. But it's fine. It's good. It isn't as bad as some people make out, but what you do get with Ederson is obviously his passing ability, and he's made City basically you can't press City, or you haven't been able to press City. Teams haven't been able to sort of put that high press on City for so many years because, bing, it goes over the top. What did he have? 5 assists last season? I mean, it's wild. But if it is the end, it is the end. Look, I've said on several videos, if you've been tuned into the channel, that you can't, in my opinion, have a goalkeeper on with 1 year left on their deal. It's just that one position where you need, especially when Ortega's the same, by the way, you can't have 2 goalkeepers with 1 year left on the deal. It's that position where you need to be locked in. You need somebody sort of clued in, dialed in. You don't want to be sort of getting to midway through the season, they're talking about moving away or listening to clubs and whatnot. You need them to be clued in. And yeah, look, it is what it is. If it's time to go, I'm happy, in the sense that with what he's contributed for City, you can't complain. I don't think you can complain. The next question is, the big question is, how do you replace him? Because I feel like some people are underestimating how big of a replacement job this is. And honestly, with James Trafford, I think it's maybe not the perfect replacement, but it is possibly as close to it as you can be, because let me explain. Obviously, he's come through the City Academy, so in terms of that style of play, he's accustomed to it. He knows what to expect. He knows that you'll be expected to play out, and he can do that. But he's had a few years now where he's played at Burnley, some of it in the Premier League, some of it in the Championship, where he has been constantly, for the most part. I know there was a season under Vincent Kompany where Burnley had one of the best defensive records, and again under Scott Parker. The numbers say that Burnley have had a really tight defence, but in the Championship, you are constantly sort of being tested with that shot stopping ability. The level of football is still pretty high, and I think for a goalkeeper, it is easy to make that step up from being in a really good Championship team to a Premier League team, because the fundamentals are the same. You will be coming up against better finishers, of course, but you are still sort of under the barrel, almost getting shots tested at you, almost, in pretty much every single game. He went on a mad clean sheet run last season when Burnley got promoted. I can't remember the exact number, but it was pretty wild. I would be happy with that. If he comes in as City's number 1, I'd be happy with that. The sort of, maybe some people say, what if he doesn't make that step up? Well, I think it's fine, because he's obviously young. He's got the years of some years of experience behind him already. He's 22 years old. If in 2 seasons' time it doesn't work, then City is still going to be able to move him on. I feel like, anyway. He'll be 24. He'll still have 6, 7, 8 years ahead of him in sort of top level football. You're not going to lose that much money. I think the fee that's being spoken about is somewhere around 40 million quid. City reportedly want to bring that down a little bit more. That's not, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a great deal of money when we're speaking about other prices for goalkeepers. Diogo Costa, I think he's 60 million euros or something like that, release clause, maybe even more than that. So that's, if you pay that for Diogo Costa, he's coming in with similar pressure to what Ederson did. And you might say he's had more big game experience, but does he understand the way that Guardiola would want to play? You'd say James Trafford probably understands it a little bit more. And I just feel like it's with James Trafford, it's a low risk, high reward situation, because you could get, as is being touted, England's future number 1. You could get the next best young goalkeeper, who is obviously English, which we need to mention, the homegrown quota. That is still an issue for City. If you can get one of the non-homegrown goalkeepers off the books and you can bring in a homegrown player, that could potentially free up another slot in the team. There's talk of maybe one of Akanji or Ilkay Gundogan leaving as well. That could maybe then mean that City could go after Tino Livramento or a right back, Dumfries, whatever it might be. I just feel like this deal has more upsides than it does downsides. And I've watched James Trafford for a little bit now. I think he's a great goalkeeper. Obviously, he is not going to come in and be as good with his fee as Ederson is, because, in my opinion, there is nobody better in world football still than Ederson is with that. But if it is time for Ederson to leave, which it is looking like it is, he's going to be either moving to Turkey, or if that deal falls through, it looks like his head is elsewhere. I just feel like James Trafford makes sense. it is a deal that makes sense. He knows City. It's not going to cost that much. He's got Premier League experience already. He's also been around the block for a few years, even though he's still 22. He's got the age profile. He's got the potential. You've just reeling off. He's English. He's homegrown. You're just reeling off the positives there. It just makes sense. So I don't think it's a surprise that we're seeing him linked with City. I know Fabrizio Romano said a few things in terms of City looking at him. It's going to depend if one of the goalkeepers does leave, though, which is looking like it will. So I wouldn't be surprised if this falls into place within the next 7 days. We start seeing sort of concrete. James Trafford is on the way to City, bid accepted. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where this story goes, because in my opinion, it just makes sense. Let me know what you think, though, and I know you guys will. This is one of the best things we've had from this channel so far. There are plenty of debates. Like I said, get in the comments, and you can continue that on the City Ramble Discord as well. Come and tell me if you feel like it, that I'm wrong, that I'm talking nonsense. Plenty of people have done in the past, so don't be afraid. But I just feel like with James Trafford, Ederson leaving, make it happen, City. Make it happen, and then we are firmly on our way to a rebuild, not a refurb. Like, subscribe, do all of that lovely business if you can. This has been the City Ramble. Let us know what you'd like to speak about next. If you've got any questions you want answering in future videos, drop them as well. But until next time, you've been watching the City Ramble, and we will see you later.